The Five Rings Podcast with Duane Rollins and Kevin Laramee on the Sports Podcasting Network. Follow us and listen to us live on Twitter at Five Rings Podcast and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network for more content.
Good day, good night. Welcome to the Five Rings Podcast. I'm Kevin Laramee, joined by Duane Rollins as we break down Day 4 in Beijing 2022. February 8th is all wrapped up, and we'll set up the table for February 9th at the end of the show, even looking at the medal standings and the official medal standings, which counts gold medals before everything else, because that's how the world works. Gold in front of everything else. But first, Duane, how are you today?
Are you telling me that first is more important than third, Kevin?
Well, to the surprise of many that were given trophies for every single spot they finished in every single sport they played, first is first, and when you're third, you're not first. So you have not won if you're not first.
Well, this is funny because Kevin's the millennial here, and I'm the Gen Xer. So, you were the one that should be saying that we should have the participation medal.
No.
So
well, I was like, when I received here's your medal. I was like, why do I have a medal? Because you participated in the tournament. I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
I didn't win anything.
I finished 12th. What are you doing?
I was literally like, that's not real. That's where my illusion and innocence was lost when I was given a trophy. And I was like, well, we finished last. We sucked. We were the worst T-ball team in the history of this tournament. Here's your trophy. No, you can keep your trophy. Give me good teammates instead.
Damn, we're having some deep cuts here, but anyway, no, yeah, the gold medal should be what's considered first. So yes, what CBC is telling you is not true. Canada is not fifth or fourth or whatever they're telling us, but here we are.
No, Canada's 11th. But speaking of gold medal or lack thereof, I'm looking at you, USA. I'm looking at you, the United States of America, with your lack of gold medals after Day 4. Still, 6 days of full competition, pretty much. 4 silvers, 1 bronze for 5 total medals. And yeah, that's not great for USA. They're waiting for their gold. There's been a couple of bad bounces here and there, and you can parlay those bad bounces with a defeat against Canada yesterday in hockey. And the feeling surrounding these games is, well, they're starting a bit slow for Team USA.
They are, and it's a bit odd because we're used to watching the Americans be the top of everything, right? Like it's not something that we expect to see for them to be struggling as much, but they absolutely have been, and they've been struggling in the competitions that they want to be successful in, the competitions that they have a lot of attention to. We watch. The reason the schedule is the way it is because NBC wants to put certain sports on at certain times, but they haven't been doing very well in those sports, have they?
Which is funny because, that's what I was thinking too. Like, oh yeah, they're doing great. It's going to be perfect. 11 p.m. and then Canada just wins. Marie-Philippe Poulin with the late goal. By the way, I have to. It's a tradition on this show where I guess I just say congratulations, Marie-Philippe Poulin, for scoring a clutch goal, which is always happens. And in that game, there was a weird thing that happened too. You know, that American player who slashed the referee without wanting it to. And poor referee is going to the side of to the benches, and she's bleeding. It's like, who said it was easy to be a referee even at the Olympics?
Oh no! Wow, that was a big cut too. Like under.
Yeah. You can see the blade of the stick hit her right underneath the visor, like literally like a millimeter. And you have like 38 cameras in the arena or something. So you have like 5 different angles of the blade hitting her face. It was like almost a bit too much.
Yeah, she's going to have a permanent sort of scar
souvenir.
Her lip there. Yeah.
Like, any proof that you were refereeing in Beijing? Yeah. Look at my nose. You see? There's missing a piece? Yeah, it's in Beijing.
I'll tell you what. I played hockey for like 16 years. So I played at, I wouldn't say a high level, but I played at a level. And I refereed at levels as well. And the only time I was ever really hurt was refereeing. It's dangerous out there. You get hit by pucks, you get hit by sticks, you get hit by everything. Yeah.
You know what's harder than playing is trying to be out of the play. It's one of the hardest things to do, trying to not be in people's way. There's right,
100%. Because and look, the players are never happy with you when you get in their way because
exactly, or out. If you're too much out, like you're too far away, you can't see the action.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The one time I really got caught very badly when I played hockey, when I was involved in hockey, was refereeing. Dropped the puck, stick came up, boom, off the eye, blood everywhere.
That's probably like it happens so many times, like in the face off. Oh,
and good for her for continuing on.
Exactly.
So yeah.
But this was a good day of action. There's a couple of storylines that came out of this day. We're going to talk about it. And I kept my big storylines for a couple of my medals. I do have some side conversation pieces with my medals today, which is going to be fun when we get there. But let's start. And Duane, yesterday we started with you. Day 2 we did with me. We'll start with me today on day 4. And I want to start with my wood medal that encompasses a few things. It's been 4 full days of competition, so it's not just a small sample size. There's been a few articles written about it. The most famous one is on the BBC right now, BBC website, bbcworldnews.com. And it's about the treatments of athletes, especially the ones in isolation, the ones that have to quarantine. A certain aspect of these Olympics are different than what athletes are used to. Poor food choices is one example that is not fully corroborated, but there's been a few instances, and the one case of the ROC athlete that has been given the same food 4 times a day, well, 3 times a day, 4 days in a row, that hasn't been corroborated, that version, but there's been other version that has been made public and has been verified where same food choices and the treatments for when you're quarantined versus the treatment when you're not are not the same, and you can't even maintain your level of fitness. They're not given the right infrastructures. The athletes are not treated the same just because of where they're from also. Some bigger part of the world that have a bigger Olympic committee will be treated in a certain way, and if you're not from them and you get quarantined, you're treated another way. Also, if we're looking at decision-making process for cross-country skiing, it was extremely cold where they held the skiing venues. And according to International Skiing Federation laws, if it's under -20, you're not supposed to take part. You're not supposed to have your competition. It's supposed to be delayed until the weather permits it. Well, there's kind of like a loophole where the Beijing organizers, well, that's without wind chill. So even if it's -31 with wind chill, you can still go out and ski, which led us to see the one of the biggest fashion faux pas in the Olympics this year, which is a lot of cross-country skiers paying homage to the Ultimate Warrior and wearing a mask in their face that looks a lot like an 80s wrestling painting job. Yeah, that was very cold for them, but there's a lot of little things like this pulled together that shown that the athletes are not treated to what we would call Olympic standards.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, I don't know what more to say, but other than the fact that they shouldn't be doing that. But this is the thing that the Olympics have done for a long time. Is it's about the TV. It's about making sure you put the show on, but not necessarily about putting the best competition forward, and certainly we're seeing a bit of that right now. That food photo that went out is like I wouldn't eat that, Kevin. That food photo that went out hasn't been collaborated, as you said, but
yeah, and the BBC is very careful, but they did publish it in their article saying, look, this is from the official account of that athlete. We just can't confirm that picture is what it says it is, but it was a very dismal picture that even in hospitals, where it's considered bad places to get food, they wouldn't serve it. It's like a handful of pastas with some red sauce next to it, burnt potatoes, charred meat on a stick, and a couple other questionable food items. And knowing multiple people who are working at the games right now in many positions, because of the different works I do for a living, I do know that some of the test events, and a few months ago when they were testing stuff, the way that some of the food, the way of a few things that were given to employees and stuff was really questioning, and they prepared accordingly, bringing their own food provisions with them for the month of the Olympics, which was a really good idea. The athletes and stuff like it, I think it goes deeper, and as much as people think it's cool to have robots serving you. It's not necessarily efficient. And there's the whole lot of things that we don't see that some of the athletes, especially once you test positive or once you're on the outs or against them, or if you feel they're against you, it's not the same treatment. And that is a bit unfortunate. And, it doesn't matter if you're from Canada or you're from Cameroon or wherever you're from, you should get the same treatment regardless of the political views of your country when you get to the Olympic Games. And I want to add one thing to this medal, and we'll talk about this issue more later on, but the whole Peng Shuai situation that happened in Beijing yesterday. She was brought in by the International Olympic Committee. She did a big interview with L'Équipe. Peng Shuai, Chinese tennis player, one of the best in the world, who last November went public saying she was sexually harassed and assaulted by an official of the Chinese government. Since then, there's been a whole lot of, first of all, a lot of worry from the WTA because she was missing. She did not show up to some commitment, and she was not answering calls, and that was a big concern for the entire world. And this was her first public outing at one event yesterday, which was the big air with Eileen Gu 1. We'll talk about it later. But all this together, it was to be expected, but also the propaganda opportunities that have been seen from the International Olympic Committee with China so far have left me also a bit cold, because it looks to me like they're like, look, you guys know we're going to try this, so we're not going to be really overt. We're not going to do as much as you guys would think, but just once in a while during these games, we'll be like, here, we're good people. We're good, a good regime. Look, nothing happened with Peng Shuai. She's okay. Everything's great. It just feels a bit, well, because it is, but it's all very much a bit orchestrated.
Yeah, 100%. First off, I believe women, so that's just say that up front when it comes to her situation. It's unfortunate. It's not even the right way to put it. But when it comes to China and when it comes to orchestrating things, it is what it is at this point. You just got to have a critical eye when you look at all of it, right? And it's unfortunate. But, it's here we are. We're talking about this still, and this is an unfortunate situation based on the fact that the games are in a place that it is. And I think I feel for the Chinese people, because they want their games to be successful. They want their country to be viewed in a certain way, but their government is what it is. And I don't know more to say about that. I'm not even sure I'm saying this in a great articulate way right now either, but it's just kind of sad. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that.
So that's my wood medal for day 4. It's the overall athlete treatments when it comes to all these situations. And we'll continue to talk about the Peng Shuai situation also, because the big story in L'Équipe, and L'Équipe was very open in how they were treated for this. They were saying that we weren't censored, but the answers she was given were also, yes, arranged. The questions were given. They also were given free range to ask new questions, and they were given double the time that first allowed it. But there was also some conditions, and never, in their own words, they still couldn't answer the question as if is Peng Shuai saying the words she wanted to say. They couldn't know, and that's also part of this story.
Yeah, I'm sure that they've dealt with that situation however they wanted to deal with it, but it's not in any way that makes them look poor. But it does, because we all see it, right? Anyway, it is what it is.
They think it doesn't look poor because look, no problem. We gave free reign for an interview with Peng Shuai. We did nothing wrong. Everything's great. Yes, yeah. But it's the yes, but. Anyways, that's my wood medal for today.
Yeah, and here we are. And look, China does a lot of good stuff, but they also do a lot of really bad stuff. So here you go. My wood medal, Kevin, is going to be a little less serious, if that's okay. But in fact, it's going to be a little weird, a little ironic even. I'm going to give my wood medal to the Swedish women's hockey team, who just won a minute ago, as we're recording right now. They actually have advanced to the quarterfinals. But this is Sweden, and this is hockey, and it took them every effort that they had to get through. And I want to ask a question of why the women's hockey team in Sweden is so bad. Why are you not supporting your women's team this much?
Interesting. politically speaking, it would be interesting to answer that question. Where is Sweden leaning towards the inclusion of women's sports in the investment and funding of such sport versus the men's
And this
sport?
is a country, Kevin, that we generally think of as being progressive. So
yeah, that changed about 4 years ago.
yeah, it's a very confusing situation, and they fell out of Group A of the Women's World Hockey Championship. Sweden is in Group B. Sweden is in Group B of the Women's World Hockey Championship. So when it comes to the women, they're playing like with the Hungaries and that of the world, which, you know, all respect the Hungary in that, but they don't have a hockey program normally, right?
No, and they won 3-1 against Denmark, and Denmark, it was 2-1 at the end of the game. It could have been 2-2. They could have tied it up. They got a penalty here and there, but a different bounce of the puck on the boards, and, you know, Denmark could have got the equalizer. You're right, Sweden might be top of these games because of the amount of cross-country skiing medals they got and that they're going to continue to get. But in the hockey side, you're right. They are very disappointing so far on the women's side.
Yeah, and we'll see what they do in the men's side. But it's like it doesn't really matter about that, because what I want to ask the question is what I just did is like, why aren't they supporting this? A program that finished second, that got the silver medal, what was that, 3 Olympics ago, and they haven't done anything. In fact, they've gone backwards since. They are not a program that you look at in any way whatsoever as moving forward. We need other women's programs other than the big two. And that game, we're going to talk more about that game in a minute. That game last night between the U.S. and Canada was amazing. It's the best hockey game I've seen this year.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a very fast-paced game, too.
Exactly. But the rest of the world, well, the big countries in the rest of the world, because you know what? God bless Denmark. God bless Japan. China. Those countries are doing great.
Yeah, they're trying, and you can tell they're giving the effort, and they're progressing. But no, that's a great choice for your win medal.
Yeah, well, and you know, and all due respect to the athletes in Sweden that are doing what they can, but it's the federation that I'm giving my wood medal to today, who will play Canada, I believe, in the quarterfinals. So here you go. Well, that's going to be fun for them, I'm sure.
So I'm sure that's what they got. That's what the teams. That's what the players are going to say during the game. Yeah, this is fun. I'm sure that's what they got. I'm sure the goalkeeper for Sweden is going to say, "Wow, this is fun." During the game.
Take the plus. Take the plus. I don't care
yeah.
what the number is.
Take the over. Take the over. All right, let's move to my Poutine medal for this day. And Duane and I haven't told each other our medals, so maybe we don't have the same one, hopefully. My Poutine medal is to a 17-year-old, Duane. 17-year-old Olivia Asselin. She's got an 8th place in the world, which is pretty insane, in big air. She's 17 years old, and she finished 8th at the big air competition. First time this competition is in the Olympics. And she surprisingly won the bronze in the X Games in 2022. Took place in Aspen a few weeks ago. And she is showing a great growth. And for a 17-year-old to position herself as one of the top 10, one of the best in the world in her discipline is amazing. She's going to continue to grow. In 4 years' time in Milano Cortina d'Ampezzo, she will be one of the athletes to keep an eye on for the podium. She's showing a grace, a maturity that is rare. And at 17 years old, she still says that her specialty is more slopestyle. Recently, her results would say that her biggest potential might be the big air. It's a great story, very young still. A name to remember, Olivia Asselin.
And I love that competition so much. We're going to talk about it more later, so we'll leave it at that. It's a good poutine medal. I hope she enjoys her fries and gravy, because I
hope she actually has a poutine, because she should be good. She deserves it.
Yeah, and speaking of people that deserve a poutine, I'm going to give my poutine medal today to Scott Gow, who finished 5th in the 20K biathlon. And 5th place is no joke.
So much so that we'll talk about him later, too.
There you go. Exactly. It's an incredible performance in a sport that Canada is not really known for. And so far in these games now, we have 2 events that Canada is not really known for that they've had incredible results in.
James Crawford, or Jack Crawford, depending on how you want to call him, finished 4th in the men's downhill, which is one of the events that Duane's referring to, which was the best result since Ed Podborski at the Olympics in the men's downhill, which is a long time ago. Duane could talk to you about it. And also,
Steve, but yeah.
Steve, exactly. So long ago that I misnamed him.
Exactly, Steve, who's from Daw Mills, Ontario, which it always blows my mind. There's a woman from Scotland that finished fifth in the big air too. So that blew my mind. How someone from Scotland is a world class athlete on skis.
Well, it's big amazing. Air is good because it's on a hill, so you don't necessarily need something big to just
go straight down.
You just get exactly
insane, be absolutely insane, and jump off and flip around.
Exactly. Be like, this jump that you don't see the landing? Yeah, jump off of it. Trust me, I'll be fine. Like, what? Huh? You want me to go where? No, thanks.
I love these people. They are amazing. They entertain me greatly, but they are not
They're
well.
nuts. They're nuts. They're not well, and not at all. All right. That is a green Poutine medal. We'll come back and talk about Scott Gow, and I'll go with my bronze. We're not going to spend too much time on my bronze because I have a feeling you're going to talk about that athlete too. But the reason why I put it to bronze is because it would have been my gold, but because of the Peng Shui situation that happened in that event, I have to bump it down twice. So I'm talking about Eileen Gu, who was born in the USA but representing China. She won gold medal in the bigger competition that we just talked about. But during that competition, Peng Shui was shown to the crowd. Peng Shui had this moment, and she was seen, and the IOC took a lot of pictures of Peng Shui assisting, attending this victory and cheering on the Chinese Eileen Gu. The whole thing of the political aspect of the fact that they really do mention that she was born in the USA and chose to represent China. They're really hitting the nail on the head there. They want to make sure you knew that she chose China over USA. And the whole Peng Shui situation bumped it down from gold to bronze for me. But the jump itself is worthy of a gold medal on any day.
Yeah, I am going to have her a little bit higher. In fact, as high as I can put her. I'll say that right now. That's just saying. I have her as my gold, and I will. The reason I did is because that performance was amazing, and it was. And her smile lights up a room. Like, she's an incredible athlete, right? And we can't get inside her head and decide why she's chosen to represent this regime, which I have issues with. I think, Kevin, you have issues with. I don't want to speak for you, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. But she did, and she performed at the highest level. So, absolutely, that entire competition, the big air, was amazing. All of those athletes, the French athlete, the Scottish girl, I just talked about all of them.
So the French athlete, her name is Tess Ledeux. So you know what that means? Le deux means the two, basically, as in the, THE, and two, the number two. And she finished second.
Yeah.
That was very funny. That Le deux finished second.
Yeah, fair enough. And she was incredible. Like, they're all amazing. That entire sport is incredible. It was such a fun event. And we have like much more. We have the snowboard version of it. We have the male version of that. I'm looking forward to all of it. It's incredible to watch, but they all are nuts and they all are amazing, and I love them all. But yeah, Eileen Gu is my gold medal. I'll tell you now, but she's your bronze for the reason you said, and we should say that. And we can only ask her why she chose to.
Well, and for her reason might be pure and valid, right? If she feels that it's to honor her parents and her mother, who are we to say anything like that? Hopefully that's what it is, for sure. And even if it's not, it's her own decision. But to me, it's more how they're making sure that anytime an official Chinese government or IOC is talking about her, that they don't just say the Chinese athlete. They say the American-born Chinese athlete, which hits it over and really puts the emphasis on she decided that. And adds a political component. You can just say the Chinese athlete, which would be accurate also.
No, 100%. And look, I have trouble with that aspect of the Olympics more than anything else, the nationalism aspect to it. And I have trouble with it because I also feed into it, right? I may not have ever seen some whatever athlete from wherever before, but if he has that maple leaf on it, I'm going to cheer for him. And that's nationalism, and I appreciate that it plays into that, but sometimes it's not attractive, right? it's not great. But what I will say is that she's an incredible athlete, and what she did was inspirational. That I saw her do on the field, on the slope. So that's what I'm going to focus on.
So we did 2 woods, 2 Poutine, 1 bronze. We got 1 bronze, there's 2 silvers, and 2 golds to go. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about Duane's bronze medal for day 4, and we'll give you the most important medals of the day, which is the silver and gold, after this short break. And we're back on the Five Rings Podcast. I'm Kevin Laramee, joined by Duane Rollins as always. Duane, your bronze medal for day 4.
We've been bashing the Americans a little bit today, so I'm going to give them a bronze medal. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely. That's what they have the most, actually.
Yeah.
So far.
Nathan Chen, he hasn't got his medal yet. He probably will break their little problem they have there with in the men's figure skating. He broke a world record yesterday in the short program. Look, figure skating, I think, is having a moment right now. It's trying to figure out where it exists.
It's in the bottom of the popularity wave. Let's be honest. It's in a down cycle.
Yeah, and I don't know what the answer is, and it's an interesting conversation to have. And I very much respect what figure skating is, but I also cannot argue with you. First off, Nathan Chen broke a world record. Great performance. That's what we want to say. He's my bronze medalist, but I can't get into this competition, Kevin. I really can't. It's on my third TV. It's on my big TV, actually. It's on main CBC, but it's on mute.
And the figure skating on mute is basically just people skating. Because there's no music, But I get it. No, I'm the same. I respect the talent and the grace and the fact that I can never do any of the moves that they do. Does it mean that I want to watch them? No. But, like you're going to probably say, I know my parents love to watch it.
Oh, God, my mom loves to watch it. My mom makes me message her every day during the Olympics to tell her when the skating's on. The skating and the diving. That's my mom. God bless you, Gail. That's what she wants.
And there's a lot of your mom. There's only one of her. Good. But meaning there's a lot of similar mentality, which they would love to watch it. They watch it religiously every 4 years. But it's interesting to me to see the continuous evolution of that sport versus the young generation and how to draw them in to this competition.
I don't know anyone. I mean, I'm not young anymore, but I don't really know anyone that participates in speed skating anymore. Like, it's just not, in figure skating anymore. I said speed skating, but it's just interesting. Like, when I was growing up, it was common for people to, in Canada anyway, to participate. I just don't see it in the same way anymore.
I guess it's a bit more niche. Maybe it's a bit more niche. It's also maybe a demographic that maybe don't have as much access to.
It could be that, yeah.
But I also think that it could be a bit more niche than it was. And it depends. Big cities, it's a bit less popular. You go outside, and we're talking about this off air together the other day, is you do have an aspect of it where in smaller towns, it'll be very popular. And I equivalent to another sport like cheerleading or something similar that even in school, you might never see or have a friend that does it, but there's a lot of people that do this sport. I remember in high school, there was a couple, or more in elementary school, there was a couple of girls in our school that were figure skaters too. And we all knew who they were, and they were kind of like stars for that because they could twist on the ice. So every time we were going to hockey practice or skating practice and they were there, can you twist for us? But you're right, maybe it's not something that is as prevalent, or if it is, it's a bit more niche in society.
100%, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Look, I mean, it is niche, I think. And I want to say this. I do very much respect the talent that they bring. What they do is incredible. I skate. I'm a good skater. I played hockey my whole life. I would estimate that I am amongst the top 5% of skaters in the world, which doesn't say much because I live in Canada, which means I'm, the top 50% of skaters in this country. But they're incredible what they do. But it's just not. It's a sport that needs to figure itself out, and it's a sport that it started to lose its way in the 90s. Like, it used to be the top of the entire Winter Olympics. It was the Winter Olympics in the 90s. Like, it was. And for a lot of reasons that were their own fault.
Yeah, well, the corruption doesn't help. I think also the pointing system and the way it's not as instinctual right now for the layman makes a big difference, where you have to follow the yellow box, green box, and X's instead of just seeing a 10 or not seeing a 10, right? That made a big difference in the whole, but it's more fair now. But yeah, something to ponder and to think about, and maybe a bit later, and why we don't feel the same way about figure skating.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the point system, yeah, I agree. The way they do it now is not that engaging.
You're like, oh, no, he didn't get the element. Oh, yeah, he got the element, which is great because you're taking the subjectivity out of it, but it's about artistic. It's about movement, and it's about grace, and grace, and all these things are subjective. So, exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah. The reason we're here is because
people were given money or opportunities, and because they were like, okay, well, you give me money, I'll give you a 10.
There's a great, on Netflix, there's a great documentary about the 2002 figure skating competition, the doubles.
Yep.
Jamie Soleil and Peltier.
Yeah.
You watch it. That's all I'm going to say. Just
it's
watch
called
that.
The whole series called Bad Sport is amazing. That episode is really good. The one on the Arizona State Sun Devils scandals in the early 90s about point shaming is also very fascinating.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I've watched it twice, and I'm like, dude, I want to watch it again. It's just amazing. But no, you're right.
Yeah, you just wish you had the.
You wish you knew.
Right?
I wish I was alive in the 90s. And I'm like, what? Put money on Arizona State? All right, I'm going to do that.
Anyway.
College basketball. Gotta love it. College basketball. It's the time to pay attention, by the way, right now.
Yeah, we got another month. It's fine. You
can
have a show if you want.
Well, I do. So you'll find that later today on Betting on Sports Podcast. All right. My silver let's go through this. We've been talking too much already. We're 35 minutes in already, Duane, and we haven't even gone to the good part. We'll go quickly because you mentioned it already. My silver medal is Scott Gow, who finished 5th. Rarely do I have one of my medals not being an actual medal, but Scott Gow of Canada finished 5th in the biathlon, in the 20-kilometer biathlon. And I was looking at his track record. This is one of his best performances ever. He finished 14th in Pyeongchang in the same discipline, the 20 kilometers individual. He finished 61st in the sprint and 11th with the relay in 2018. If we just look at a World Cup level, in the World Championships, 40th, 80th, 26th, 43rd, 18th, 63rd, 31st. Those are all results that he had over the last 7 World Championships. And he finished 5th at the Olympics. So, outperforming your personal best on the biggest stage, representing Canada, doing one of the best performances ever for Canada in the men's individual biathlon, 20 kilometers, and doing so with a very good result, with, quite honestly, one of the best results in biathlon ever. I thought was really fascinating. And to me, I do like that competition too. I like the French guy who won. I don't have him in my medal, so I can talk about him. Quentin Fillon-Maillet, who won the gold medal. He had a great story with his father and grandfather, and he told them that he wanted to win for them, and told them, no, you win for you. And for us too, but you win for you. And he came out and he actually did a performance that was really surprising. And this Frenchman won a lot of people's affection with how he was celebrating on the podium too. It was beautiful to see. But the Canadian, Scott Gow, 5th, is my silver medal for today.
Look, I mean, I put him on my Poutine. It's going to be one of the most incredible performances by a Canadian athlete in this entire Olympics, but it's not going to appear on the little CBC graphic ever, right? Because he's 5th. And what's 5th mean? And this is my issue. And when we started 5 Rings, I still love the Olympics. It's my favorite thing ever. It really is. I think anyone who knows me knows this. But I think what I grew to appreciate having done this show and having talked to some Olympians from having done this show is how amazing it is to finish fifth. Fifth is incredible. It's an amazing situation. If you finish fifth in the Olympics, God bless you. You are an amazing human being that I'm jealous of. So, yeah.
And to use the words of another athlete we've talked about who finished fourth, which was James, a.k.a. Jack Crawford, he uses both names interchangeably, if you're wondering why. So for Crawford, he was mentioning after finishing fourth in the men's downhill that, I'm actually disappointed. This is my best race ever. This is my best finish ever. I'm even going to get some World Cup points out of it. And the rest of my season and the next couple of seasons will be better because of it on the World Cup standings. And in ski, it makes a big difference. Your start time and where you start, which means you'll start where the conditions are best, is helpful. But he was saying how, you know what? If you're going to get there, might as well, it's the Olympics. You want to be on the podium. That's what it's all about. Like, it's so close. But you're right. But I can only imagine how Scott Gao feels. But again, personal bests, fifth in the world in a sport where you're not known to be the greatest. And then you look at the same results or results of the same magnitude, and some athletes just perform better when the 5 rings banner is there. And Scott Gao is one of them. He was close. Just a one miss target may be away from being on the podium. But, that's what it's all about. But it was a beautiful competition. I do like the course. It's a shame that it's so cold that the athletes almost get their guns stuck to their gloves. But, it is what it is.
100%. If I was him, if I was Scott, I would have 5th place just tattooed on my shoulder right there. And I would talk to anyone who wanted to talk to me about it.
Why is there a big 5 tattooed on your forehead? Oh, why? You're asking me why? Well, there was one time, sir, I finished 5th at the Olympics, and I decided to tattoo it on my face so that everyone would know it.
Yeah, that might be a bit much, but I would. That'd be
okay. Maybe the neck. I guess it's a new forehead tattoo.
Yeah, there you go. All right, fair enough. Shall I get my silver medal?
Give your silver medal before I start talking again.
I'm getting my silver medal to the gold medalist of the doubles curling, which I loved so much. So
are we going to pronounce their name Masoner? Is it Masoner? The guy who's like 7 foot tall and can throw a rock as like quicker than Hercules would.
Both of them. The Italian doubles, they are the gold medalists. They are perfect. They are incredible. They are such a great curling team. I love that sport so damn much. I can't help myself. I'm such a geek when it comes to curling. So there you go. I just want to make sure that we mention them. And I cannot wait for the fours to start. But the doubles are so incredible. TSN, if you're listening, play more doubles. Please show them. I want to watch more between these games, please. But anyway, the Italian doubles gold medalists who were perfect.
Yeah. So
are my champions.
Stefania Constantini and Amos Mozaner went undefeated, won every single game they took part. And that's one of the things I actually enjoy about mixed curling is mixed doubles curling. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of mistakes. And even in the last end of that game, we're making mistakes on both sides. But with the talent of Mazoner and the wherewithal of Stefania and the tactical genius of Stefania Constantini, she might have played and guided Mozaner to the best run in mixed doubles curling ever. This whole process, they beat the who's who. And we'll see some of those again. But Stefania, the Sweden were really good too. I know, Duane likes Deval, so she was really good. But the best team was Italy. And we'll see those again. I believe Stefania is part of the 4-woman curling team, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah. Well, I think they're both involved. It's amazing. Like it's such a fun sport. And I've talked to lots of people on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, you know this, that what I compare the doubles to is, if you're a cricket fan out there, it's like T20 versus Test cricket, right? Like, it's not the traditional version of the sport, but it's a version of the sport that might actually become very popular. So enjoy it, embrace it. It's an amazing version. And there's shot makers. It's all about the shot making. It's about the ability to put the rock down and do stuff with it. And that's the essence of what the sport should be, right? It's incredible. I love it. And they were an amazing team throughout this competition. And yes, I'm Canadian. As a Canadian curling fan, I'm supposed to only cheer for the Canadians. And I was cheering for the Canadians.
Well, that changes, though. And that's where the sport is. It's not just the Canadians anymore. And when you look at it now, it's been a while, actually, that Canada's been performing well in every single curling event. If you look on the women's side, we're actually in a bit of a drought. And that tells you the real level of curling. And it's not just about the Olympics. You should look at the World Championships and how Canada's been struggling lately. And the Scotties Tournament of Heart just wrapped up a couple of days ago. And don't ask me why, but I know this, Duane. Will Team Einarson continue their struggle at the World Championships? I think so. I think that they won despite of themselves in that tournament. And it'll be interesting to see where Canada curling goes from now on. But you got to step off your pedestal to know that you're having a problem. And that was a trouble for a long time, is Curling Canada thought that whatever they were doing was better than everybody else, and they thought that they could just do that. Now I think there's going to have to be a serious thought process in how they choose teams, how they build the programs for these teams, because they need to be battle tested. You can't just put two curlers together and put them in a competition with a gold medal at the end. To be honest, they finish fourth because they're two talented curlers. But if you would have put two other curlers, they could have finished really badly in this competition, and that could have been a tragedy for Curling Canada. And I think that's maybe the first step to realizing that Curling Canada needs to act like where it is in the world, and they're not number one in the world anymore.
I don't necessarily disagree with anything you just said, but go Team Jones, go Team Gochi.
Well, exactly. and that's the difference, too, is we're going to see Gushu make it there for the first time in whatever. He never won the Roar of the Ring, right? It's the first time. I think he did a long time ago in Torino. Anyways, it's a long time ago, but you're right. The two darlings of Curling Canada, Gushu on one side and Jones on the other, are there this time around. The most likable faces in the sports, too, so maybe he will be different this year.
Yeah, the very first podcast Kevin and I ever did, all I did was talk about Jen Jones. So we're going to talk about Jen Jones again. Older than me. The only athlete in these Olympics older than me. So go, Jen. You do this. Anyway.
All right, speaking of old athletes, here is my last gold medal for today, or my only gold medal for today. It's a shared one. Two skaters that finished top of the podium in the men's 1,500 meters. Sheldnush and Tomasz Kol. I took out my best Netherlands pronunciation I could find. Thank you, Forvo, for this pronunciation. Sheldnush and Tomasz Kol, of course, won the gold and the silver medal. Important competition. This is the king of distances, and I don't like to use that expression. So this is the pinnacle of speed skating for men's in the distance. 1,500 meters is the perfect combination of acceleration coming out of the gate strong now and finishing well, which it used to be different when it used to be just how you finish, but now because of the evolution of tactics and just analytics, they realize that no, you got to get out first. Your first 200 meters are really important, and so is your last 200 meters and the 900 in between too. So the entire 1,500 meters are important, and we saw new Olympic record being done in this race. A new Olympic record for Sheldnush, who actually has the world record too, but the world record is so much faster. It's 3 seconds faster than the new Olympic record. The ice is very slow at the ice ribbon. It's what's called a slow ice. It's a bit too dry. It's slow. It doesn't let you glide as much. And for the speed skating, the long track as we call, they need more glide to catch the type of speed that you would need to break a world record. There's not going to be any world record broken on this ice sheet. So you can act accordingly. Olympic records might fall, and we have a new one here. And Tomasz Kol finished second. The best in the distances, the best in the discipline is the Dutch. Finished 1-2 with Korean number 3.
Yeah, the ice is weird there, and these athletes have to figure it out. And the start of this competition at the long track event has been the top top guys have won, but it's been kind of challenging for them. And a lot of folks have not skated times that they're particularly happy with.
You're right. So, I just want to add, veterans are doing better on this ice than rookies because of the experience of adapting your stride and your performance with the ice, knowing what to do on an ice that's not fast versus younger athletes that are usually put in perfect conditions.
Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch this continue to go through. And look, the Canadians have struggled so far, to be blunt, other than the one medal that they've had. So if you want to be a little bit patriotic about that, it's not been a great competition so far, but there's still lots of time to go on that one. So Kevin, I had originally given my gold medal to someone we've talked about already, but I'm going to give my gold medal to someone else already. Is that okay?
Yeah, you're going to change. So it won't be Eileen Gu. It's going to give it to somebody else.
Marie-Philippe Poulin.
Perfect. Pooh. Captain Pooh.
Exactly. I think that we need to talk about that woman, and that penalty shot was amazing, even though I don't think it was actually a penalty shot.
Yeah,
I don't think it should have been.
But, why say no to history? This was the first ever Canada goal in regulation on a penalty shot for the women's hockey team.
It was amazing. And look, that was a great hockey game, and they're going to probably get a chance to play each other once again. But it was incredible. And the funny thing, I was in Hamilton a few weeks ago. If you listen to Soccer Today, you know where I'm going with this. And I watched that game where Canada didn't have a lot of the ball, didn't do a lot of attacking, but really was the better team throughout. I kind of thought the game felt the same way. It was like 52-12 or something with the shots, but it didn't feel like that, did it?
No, and the goalie Desbiens, you know what her nickname is? Their new nickname? We call it the Great Wall of China. Well, it's called the. I forgot where she's from, but I think she's from somewhere. Let's just say she's from a small town not too far from Montreal, but the Great Wall of that name of the small town. So that's her new nickname, which is
Shawinigan or something. Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's what it is actually. The Great Wall of Shawinigan. So there you go. But
did I just pull that out of my?
I don't know. I just think it starts with S and there's an A somewhere in there. And not being the most avid fan and player of Wordle, I just can't come up with the name so quickly.
They're all from Shawinigan, basically. But anyway,
and Wordle's overrated.
Look, I enjoy it. It's fun.
I need a better start word. That's what I need. I need to find a better start word because sometimes when I just
root, I use root. Root's my start word.
Well, that has 4 letters.
ROUTE.
Oh, as in like route?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's like a root, like a vegetable.
Go
give root because it's got
like Route 66.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my start word because it's got the T and it's got the
and right away the difference. There's an E, but if there's no E, there's an A or an I. So it's like the words in English.
Well, the keys to get the vowels out in the first 2 letters, right? Like, yeah. Anyway, it's not that hard. The thing about Wordle is it's not really about vocabulary. It's about strategy.
It's about deduction. Right? It's about deducing what the actual word is. On that note, that was fun. Then we can continue to talk about the Captain of the Canadian women's hockey team, which is the favorite at this point to win the gold medal.
They are indeed. Marie-Philippe Poulin.
They're not in the men's side, and they won't be. And when the former captain of the Montreal Canadiens of 2012 is in the team, you're not winning the gold medal, men's. But you know what? It's okay. We'll cheer on Poo-Poo.
Exactly. It depresses me a little bit that she broke out in 2010, which is 12 years ago. But
no,
I
was just saying that. Well, she did, but she was very young. But I was talking about the Montreal Canadiens. Oh, well, their captain in 2010 was David Desharnais, and he's one of the players of the Canada team on the men's side. So that's what I was saying. I was referring to that because the hockey players, the NHL players, are not there. So Canada's not winning the gold, and the players of Canada are professionals that are not playing in the NHL. Yeah,
it's a Stahl, but not Eric. Yeah,
the thing, Eric Stahl is there, but Eric Stahl is old now. Eric Stahl is retired. Anyways, is he? He should be.
It's fine. It's gonna be fine.
But it's gonna be fun. All right, let's, as promised, let's look at the medal table before we say goodbye. And this is according to Olympics.com. This is the official Olympic table of the Olympic Games the way it's supposed to be presented. Gold medals are what dictate the order here. Sweden, with their prowess in the women's cross country and other sports over the last few days, they have 4 golds, followed by the Netherlands, because of speed skating. They're second right now with 3 golds. China is third with 3 gold medals. Norway fourth with 3 gold medals also. ROC, yeah, you know me, number 5. I'm gonna spend the entirety of the games without saying the R word.
Uh-huh.
So
Can you smell what's cooking? Got it, yeah.
Exactly. And I almost don't want to use that joke too, because I don't want to insult one of the best wrestlers to ever step foot into the squared circle. Austria, Slovenia, Germany, and Italy are rounding up your top 10, with France, Canada, Japan with all 1 gold medal, with Switzerland, Australia, Czech Republic, and New Zealand. For New Zealand, for Australia, that was both their first gold medal in the Winter Olympic Games. Congratulations to the 2 countries of Oceania doing really well in Olympic Games of a season that they do not have.
Exactly. Who needs snow?
Who needs snow? Just give me water.
Exactly. Well, look, God love New Zealand and Australia when it goes to the Winter Olympics. God bless them. They're doing well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, we're gonna take an extended break until tomorrow. Tomorrow's day 5, and we'll be back to break down our favorite moment of day 5. Until then, you can follow us on Twitter at 5 Rings Podcast for this show, at 24th Minute for Duane, at Kev Laramee for myself. Podcast version available everywhere you find your favorite podcast. Also at sportspodcastingnetwork.com, and you can find an audio replay on our YouTube page, youtube.com/sportspodcastingnetwork. As always, until tomorrow, for Duane, I'm Kevin. Enjoy your Beijing.